$500 suspension package
versus $3,000 suspension package.
Does more expensive mean more better?
Let's find out.
Yeah. Ooh,
Hey, real quick, I want to thank our sponsor for this week, ButcherBox. You know, I've come to appreciate the simpler things in life, like a fine cut of grass-fed beef, seared to perfection and basted in butter. Oh my goodness, look at that. Even better, served to your loved ones. But haven't been really able to eat with my loved ones lately. Oh no, it's so good. This is what my voice sounds like now too, because it's so good. Thanks, Job. I knew I could count on you, buddy. I'll help you fix your Audi too. Sorry I broke it. One thing I have been enjoying is a monthly delivery of high-quality meats from ButcherBox. I cook that. They offer monthly subscriptions delivering flash-frozen grass-fed beef, heritage pork, free-range organic chicken, and wild-caught seafood directly to your door. ButcherBox offers four curated box options, plus my favorite, the custom box, where I can choose exactly what meat I want. Better yet, the subscriptions are super flexible. Say 1 month I know I won't be cooking a lot, just put the subscription on pause and start back up whenever. Super easy. So click the link in the description and start your subscription today and feel good about the meat you're eating. Now let's get back to the show.
We bought 2 identical Nissan 350Zs and we've been modifying them to be fun daily drivers that you can take to the track.
Oh, I could take to the track.
Yeah.
One Z, call it high car, gets expensive parts, and the other one we call low car, and it gets all the cheap ones.
Then we test them to see which components are actually worth spending your hard-earned money on.
We've compared a ton of stuff: coilovers, brakes, wheels, tires, turbo kits, injectors, seats, roll cages, body kits. Now, we already installed coilovers on both of our cars, one of them more than once. But there are more components to suspension than just springs and shocks.
Today we are installing some sway bars and adjustable control arms on low car from eBay.
And for high car, we are getting sway bars, front upper control arms, rear camber arms, rear toe arms, and sway bar end links, front and rear.
Yeah.
The more adjustability we add to the car, the more we can tweak the car's alignment. Big boy sway bars like these are really stiff and will help keep the cars more flat in corners. So neither of our Zs have any front camber adjustability from the factory. 0. So these upper control arms will give us more sweet, sweet camber than we could ever hope to handle. We're gonna look like Ryan Turk out there, just like, Hopefully our car doesn't blow up. That hasn't happened in a couple years, actually. These rear arms give us way more rear camber adjustability than stock. These rear toe arms also give us a lot of adjustability in rear toe, which Nolan does not have. So, sorry, Charlie.
That's literally because there wasn't a cheap option for those. Stock it is.
With all of these things combined, we will have complete control over our alignment. Complete control.
So this is the rear sway bar. It connects the left and right rear control arms together. Let's say you're taking a right-hand turn. The car is gonna load up a lot on the left side, so the control arm is gonna pull upward. But this sway bar is connected to the other side of the car, so it also pulls the right control arm upward as well, which loads the other side of the car, which helps distribute weight and reduce body roll. This is our new one. And I can tell you right now, it's a lot heavier than the old one. The old one is probably hollow. This one, I think, is just a solid piece of metal. It'll twist a lot less, so it'll better distribute the forces between the two sides of the car.
These are both adjustable control arms, which means that we have options here for where we mount our end links. A sway bar is basically a lever arm, right? So if you mount your end link all the way out here, your lever is effectively longer and you get more leverage. Yeah. It depends on how you want things to act. Like your rear bar, if we go for the most leverage, that'll make our rear end want to kind of come out a little bit in the corners. And I like that. A lot of drifters actually run no front sway bar and a big old rear sway bar because it helps bring the rear end back out. Excuse me, gotta go access some tools. Thanks. Pretty heavy.
Get big, stay big. Get big, stay big.
This is beefier. And High Team likes Beef.
So now we've got our sway bar installed. We're installing our adjustable end links, which is what actually couples the sway bar to the control arms here. And they are adjustable, so you can change the height of them, which allows you greater control over things like your ride height when you corner balance a car. Or if maybe you have something that's kind of in the way of your new big old sway bar, you can adjust it up or down to try to clear it. So
If you can see right here on the rail, the sway bar is actually interfering with the metal itself. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim that down to make sure that the sway bar can travel all the way up and down without interference.
We have no idea what time it is because they won't let us leave the shop until we finish the Z's. Send help, please. Send help, it's almost Christmas. I think it's almost Christmas.
let's do one of these sexy upper control arms.
Let's do it.
Oh, I've been waiting for this day. Old one, new one. Basic overall shape is the same, but we've got these big adjustment areas on the SPL one so that we can adjust the overall length of it, which in turn adjusts the camber.
So if we spin these boys out, the control arm gets longer, the wheel goes like that. That's called positive camber. We spin them in, these boys get shorter. That's negative camber, AKA Steez, AKA Ryan Turk style.
All right, so with the camber arms, for track purposes, you want a little bit of negative camber. So when your car goes around a turn, say doing a right hand, the weight will go over the left tire and be flat, and that'll give you the most grip you can through a turn. But you don't want too much negative camber because you'll burn out your rear tires just by driving around town, and that's what we did. We drove 3,000 miles with some nasty camber on there, and we had to replace the tires pretty much as soon as we got back because they were useless. Come on, you. When in doubt, swear at your car more. Whoa.
How's everything fitting?
Pretty well. So, as you might have noticed, we are no longer running the green max speeding rods coilovers that we had from last season.
Ta-da! Rest in peace, Max Speeding Rod.
That's because we didn't trust them. So we replaced them with some Megan Racing coilovers. They're about $600, so $400 more than the ones we had. A little more expensive than the lowest of the low, but they're still pretty cheap for what you get. They are adjustable for harshness, which I really enjoy, and they match the car better, which is very cool.
All right, I'm gonna Google up some torque specs.
We never forget to tighten bolts. Isn't it? Yeah.
Can we tighten everything?
Nope.
Nope, surely did not.
One thing I need to remember is I don't want to put the aftermarket arm straight in and just let it go. I want to make sure that it's close to OEM. That way when our alignment guy comes, he knows that the car is pretty much where it was stock. Obviously he's going to take some measurements, but we just want to give him a solid platform to start with rather than just messing with a bunch of stuff that's all over the place.
Pretty cool, huh?
All right, so everything is buttoned up, everything is cinched down. We've made the upgrades. Now it's time to get our car aligned.
So we spent a bunch of time and money installing a bunch of adjustable suspension stuff, but that's all worthless if you don't get a proper alignment. So that's what we're doing today. There are a few different kind of alignments you can get. Like if you go to just some normal old alignment shop, they're gonna give you kind of just a basic alignment that follows the factory specs. What we got going on today is our boy Tanner, who came to us, and he'll do whatever we want. You know, we can spec out like a drift spec, or we're going for grip. So we're gonna set the car up to get the most grip possible so we can crush the track.
Hey guys, I'm Tanner, OC Mobile Alignment. I usually do drift cars and stuff. I've gotten to work with like Rad Dan and OD drifts and stuff like that. So we're setting this one up a little bit different. Gonna set it up for grip and see how it goes.
And this is a high-low almost first. We're actually getting the same exact alignment treatment as high car. So we can actually compare apples to apples.
So there are three basic adjustments when you're talking about alignment. You've got camber, which is the tilt of the wheel this way, toe, which is the tilt of the wheel this way, and caster, which is its relation to where the upper mount for the shock is. So we can't really adjust caster, but that's okay. We'll get a good adjustment on toe up front and camber all around, which should be the biggest impact for us that we can have.
So you've got like 3 degrees in the front for camber. Do we want to lower that, or this one is 3? let's push this side in a little bit to 3.5.
So right now, we are adjusting the upper control arm. Again, this is exactly what I was talking about. If you can see the upper control arm right here, you adjust it from the top. It looks kind of cool, you know, maybe when you see that picture on eBay or whatever, you're like, oh, it looks really cool. But this is gonna be a nightmare for our alignment guy tomorrow because the whole car is gonna be up in the air. If you can see right here, you can't really get to those bolts when the car is gonna be settled. How easy is it to adjust these arms?
Not so easy.
You get what you pay for.
So the clamp on the front wheel has a laser on it, which shoots back here and shows us, you know, kind of where it lands on the rear wheel, which is, we're doing that on both sides, and that's how we can figure out where our toe is, or how to center up our toe. Once you get the laser on, you know, equal on both sides, that's the center of your toe range, and you can start adjusting from there.
How come you don't zero it out?
0?
Yeah.
Because your arm doesn't go that far. Yeah, you'd have to either pull the lower in or push the upper out.
But for like a grip setup, what would be like the optimal?
Usually you want a little bit of camber. 3 might be a little bit high. You'd have to be turning pretty hard to do that, but like 2-ish is probably pretty good. 2 to 3.
But because of the range of our cheap arm,
yeah, that's as little camber as we're gonna get.
so we're limited.
Yeah, she's limited.
Our upper control arms are adjustable. You can adjust 2 different points, which basically means we can adjust camber and caster a little bit. The primary adjustment is camber, but we'll be able to cheat the caster a little bit too.
You like our stuff?
Oh, it's just got some good control arms. Yeah, I like it.
They better be good. They were $1,000. I just bought an engine for my other car. It was $700.
Let's see what the other side's at. Okay.
So Tanner finished up the front end alignment. We were only able to adjust it to a certain degree because the aftermarket arm isn't adjustable all the way. Caster is what makes the car easy to drive, and it gives you that self-steering when you're turning in and out of a corner. Because ours is fixed, the car might pull to the left a little bit. We've got 9.5 degrees on that side and 10 on this.
Well, we were just going over what we wanted to set up the rear end like, whether or not we wanted to try to emulate what he did on low car, where he was limited by the adjustment of the cheap stuff. But here we've got so much more adjustment that we can really nail the best alignment we could possibly have. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what you get when you buy better parts. You can really dial it in and hit what you want. So that's what we're gonna do.
Ah, man down. All right.
Cool.
Cool. So we got our camber about where we want it, but the toe arm, since it's stock, we only have the stock adjuster, we can't shorten it enough to straighten the toe, so it's towed in real obnoxious. So we're gonna have to add camber to straighten the toe out.
So basically, the driver's side of the car toe is gonna be like this.
Yeah.
Which is gonna rear steer the car to the right.
Towed in, it's just a lot of toe in, yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
not where we want it.
no, we're gonna have to sacrifice camber to get toe.
Both cars just have the factory toe adjustment because the toe arm is actually also the spring perch. So you basically have to switch to a true coilover in the rear where the coil is actually over the shock so that you can run an actual toe arm, which we actually bought. I bought toe arms for that car because I was just on a shopping spree and I was like, ooh, toe arms, buy them.
Those toe arms are expensive
I
too,
know.
dude.
So we got here and I was like, oh, we can't use those because the springs go in the stock toe arm. So we're kind of limited by that, but how do you think it'll affect handling? How do you think it'll feel with this? It's towed in a bit, yeah?
If it was a drift car, man, you'd be pretty smooth and transition left to right. But
just going straight, it's probably just gonna drag the tires a bunch, like resistance.
again, there's pros and cons to stuff like this. For what we're trying to get out of this car, I'm gonna say that it probably would have been better off if we just stuck with the stock stuff. Having changed out just the one arm and not having that full range of adjustment, probably not the best. There's companies out there that kind of make a full one-off kit that will allow you to take advantage of all the range of motion in whole, but we don't have that ability, so we're kind of stuck with what we've got.
We've only got the factory adjustability for rear toe because the toe arm is also the spring perch and we need our spring. So we've just got the factory eccentric bolt, which should give us about a degree of adjustment. So we'll just make that work.
Now that we've got the car aligned, we're gonna set scales underneath each corner of the car to make sure that each corner is as close as possible to evenly distributing the car's weight. That way we can get a very well balanced car. The whole process of dialing in a car, especially with a specialized alignment setup like this, can be very tedious. What we're gonna do today is pretty much align the car as close as possible, corner balance it, that way the car is very even, and sometimes that can throw off the alignment. So we're gonna be bouncing back and forth until we really dial this setup in.
So we usually just go for crosses. The cross percentage, this plus this and this plus this. So these are what we're looking at right now are 48. This cross is lighter than this cross. So what I do is lift one of the light corners and try and get this to 50%. Once this is 50, then we have 50% here and 50% here. But we should be able to just jack up one of these corners. I think maybe that one. That's what we're shooting for. Sick.
Never been shot.
Since the upper arm is so adjustable, we can do caster and camber together. So it kind of took me a couple more tries.
Ooh, that a fast load hopper?
It's a nice exhaust. That's pretty.
We're at 50.3 right now, just a little further than we went.
Tiny bit.
All right, we'll get another couple spins. We're gonna hit this thing dead on.
This is how you gotta do it. Invoice me for the paint.
We just got done aligning both cars. I've got our specs right here, so let's go over them real quick. On high car, with our sick ass front upper control arms, we're also able to tweak caster a little bit where low car could not do that. So at the front of high car, we've got 1.5 degrees negative camber, which should be very good for grip driving, and 2 1/10 degrees negative camber in the rear. Then for tow, we've got a total tow of 0 degrees, so this puppy's gonna go straight as hell down the road. And on low car, they don't have as much camber adjustability, so they're stuck with 3.5 degrees negative camber up front, negative 2.5 degrees in the rear. And they've got differing caster because they can't adjust caster. So the front left on low car is a positive 9 degrees caster, and the front right is positive 10 degrees. It might push them in one direction. It might be imperceptible too, but ours is the same. So low car is stuck with a little bit of toe in on the rear because they don't have the same amount of adjustability that we have, which is what you get when you buy baller ass parts. Tanner fell in love with our adjustability. That stuff, it worked, but wasn't the best. So the question is whether or not it'll be noticeable when we're driving. So it's time to go find out. Wow, that's so good! What a car! This has got to be one of the best cars I've ever driven. The grip is so good, the handling, the steering, it goes where you point it. It's on rails, bro. Toot toot, freight train coming through on rails! On rails!
Oh, that's sick. Was that the drone? Yeah.
You guys might notice that we're working from home, doing our part to level the curve. Without further ado, does more expensive mean more better?
Kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of. I mean, obviously, there's no question. High car has more adjustability, arguably a smoother ride overall.
Arguably. It's like night and day.
The difference on low car was night and day as well. Even our baseline, cheap as can be components, I was very impressed with how much better the car feels. In the same way that the car changed when we finally got the fuel injectors and got the car tuned correctly with the turbo, it feels that same way with the new suspension. Like before we put the new parts in, low car felt like you were driving a Radio Flyer wagon. It was pretty rigid, pretty rattly, and now it's still rattly, but it feels a lot better.
Yeah, and the difference in high car was huge as well. I think what it comes down for me is the confidence driving in high car. Like, I know that none of that stuff is gonna break. I think we did have more adjustability though.
Oh yeah, for sure. We were limited where you guys were able to go a lot deeper with your tuning, and I think the results kind of speak for themselves.
Yeah, we haven't even begun to tap the potential of the suspension setup on high car. Moving forward, as we go to the track and ride it more, we can really dial it in the way that we really like it. We just gotta figure out how it is that we do like it.
Yeah, you gotta, experiment a little bit. Find out what you like. It's an important part of life.
So Nolan, your completely biased opinion aside, let's go to something that doesn't lie, our super scientific numbers.
Nice launch, Joe. I actually really like this thing.
Time for high car, huh?
Night and day.
Woo! Oh my God, this thing's amazing.
I saw that smile.
Best car I've ever driven.
Oh my gosh, this car is awesome. 10 out of 10 awesome. I just want to point out that we are testing with science and numerics. I mean, we don't have GPS. We have a 20-year-old intern with a stopwatch.
Jimmy!
So we're doing our best. Take it all with a grain of salt.
Dang.
Everybody went faster in high car.
Yeah.
Even you,
Even me.
The average time in low car for the slalom course was 8.84 seconds. High car was 8.49. Nolan, a half a second on a full lap of a racetrack is a lot. That slalom course was like 4 feet long, man. That's a huge, huge difference.
It's an astronomical difference, James, and I think we really nailed high car. I think you guys did a great job. Zach said it earlier, it might be the best car he's ever driven, and I have to agree with him, man.
Best car I've ever driven, bar none. Bar none.
So the numbers don't lie. In this case, expensive does mean more better. And as we're getting deeper and deeper into these cars, we're dealing with a lot of parts stacked on top of each other. As both these cars stand, Nolan, which ones would you buy?
You know, if I had a stock Z, definitely shell out the money for those high car suspension parts, man. Like with good tires, good brakes, and then those components underneath.
Absolutely.
Such a great car.
I want to remind you, we are talking about $500 versus $3,000. That's a 600% increase.
Yeah, that's...
With that knowledge, Nolan, which one would you buy?
Oh, man. The machining nerd inside me wants to say the more expensive ones because they look so great and the adjustability is amazing, but that's a huge difference. For $500, like, we absolutely changed the character of low cars, so I think I'm gonna have to go with the low parts.
Honestly, I might agree with you.
Really? Really?
Yeah, dude. I can't afford $3,000 suspension stuff.
That's amazing. This is only the second time, I think, that we've agreed on this.
Thank you so much for watching High Low. I hope you guys are not too bored and you're all staying safe out there. Make sure that you tune in next week. During this episode, we ran into an unknown issue.
We have a small crack in our radiator. I think it's just because low car was so low. Going up and down those driveways must have caught up with us.
Make sure you tune in so you don't miss that. As far as we know, donut programming is gonna keep going as scheduled. We got about 3 weeks in the can, and we're currently figuring out stuff to film at home if we have to do that. So we know everyone's bored. If you're still working,
you're a hero.
You're a hero. Take care of yourself, wash your hands. We'll get through this together. I love you.
Be kind. See you next time.
See you next time.
That's weird. That's hard to do.